is kind of a more of an exciting one.
Hold on, before we do that, never mind. We'll do it later. Receivers. It's been a little bit since we've done this, so I'm trying to get back the rapport with you three too.
Oh, it's hard.
All right.
So receivers, yeah. Let's kind of see where we're at. So obviously we know what we got in JJ. We need to see Addison on the field. Obviously, he's had some injury issues this offseason, and then this speeding thing.
Starting on the pup, which is a good thing, it sounds like. So that's good.
He's not on it.
Well, I mean, they announced the pup stuff today, and that was Andre Carter, and then Chris Reed was on the NFI reserve or non-injured reserve, or whatever that's called.
Yeah, Addison was one of the first guys there in his Lambo.
Yeah, he was.
We know he can drive that pretty fast. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, and people are blowing that to be a bigger issue than I think it really was. But either way, it's decision making, and let's make better decisions. But either way, I'm excited to see him get out there. KJ Osborne, we kind of know. So really, for all intents and purposes of this conversation, it's who are going to be those 3, 4, 5 or 4, 5, 6 guys, right? So Myles earlier mentioned Jalen Naylor. We signed Brandon Powell, who's more of like a gadget guy from the Rams. We have Jalen Reagor still on roster, who's supposed to also be that gadget guy for former first round pick. Kind of disappointed last year. And then we got a couple of guys that we are pretty familiar with the names from training camp last year.
Training camps, yeah.
Yeah, Tristan Jackson, Blake Prohl, Lucky Jackson. And then we got Crockett's boy. Crockett's a friend of the show here. Thayer Thomas out of NC State, who's going to be another one of those guys that's going to be a undrafted free agent receiver out of the slot.
Prototypical.
Yep. So
fits the description.
Yeah, right. So I'm excited about him, though. I was watching some like highlight tapes of the kid, and just shifty and really good route runner. I mean, at least from what we can see. And again, this is NC State ACC competition, so
fast, those types of things, right?
Deceptively, just a kid. Lunch pail, just just grinding his way through the weight room, all of that, right? But yeah, so we have some, gym rat, yeah. So we have some good competition for that, 4, 5, 6 spot. I mean, I think Naylor's probably gonna nail his spot in there this training camp. But outside of that, I don't have a ton of faith in Reagor. I mean, I know he has the draft capital and the trade capital. To kind of
trade capital is irrelevant, I think.
I mean, it should be, but we did give up a 4th round pick for him, and a 7th or something like that. So, but yeah, you gotta
5. 4 was like the highest it could be, right?
I thought it was a 4 and a 7. I could be wrong though.
I'm gonna look that up now.
But yeah, so we have this competition in for the backups essentially, and again, it's going to come down to what can you provide on special teams. Which one of these guys is going to be able to be a gunner? Which one of these guys is going to be able to provide punt and or kick return abilities? We know Powell can do that. We know Reagor can do that. Naylor, I believe, can. So I don't know about Thayer Thomas. Can he be a punt returner? Who knows? He's shifty enough to be one, but who knows? So. Yeah, that's what I'm excited to see through training.
Is it not even a receiver, by the way? Is it someone on the defensive side of the ball?
Easily punts? Could be. 100%.
Which we'll get into that in a different episode, but continue.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And that's really all I had to say is just like, it's just, we know what we got up top, and let's see what we got in that depth, because injuries happen and we need people who can be able to come in, know the offense, step in, and be able to seamlessly take over one of these spots, whether it's a slot, whether it's the the Z or the X. So
Myles, before you go, I want to loop in just the tight end group in this discussion as well, similar like how we bunched up the running backs and wide receivers. But when you think about the guys behind TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver, that's kind of some training camp battles that I'm looking forward to seeing. Like it's really versus Nick Muse and Johnny Munt to see who's going to kind of keep that third tight end position, or the guy they just signed today, who I don't know his name.
The long snapper / tight end.
Yeah.
Colin Thompson, I think his name is. Yeah.
There's a few other. I think they have another tight end, but yeah,
Evan
just what.
Sims, yeah.
So based on the wide receiver and tight end group, what are you looking for in training camp here?
Well, keeping it to tight ends, I'd be curious to see if they plan on keeping 3 or 4, especially if they're a team that wants to run more 2 tight end sets. We might see them keep 4.
Well, Johnny Munt is still under contract, I think, for another year, correct?
He signed a 2-year deal when he first came, so this would be his last year of the deal.
Okay.
And then, but it was non-guaranteed, so I think at least the second year, I think it was like non-guaranteed or something like that. But then obviously Nick Muse was on the practice squad last year, so it'll be interesting to see how that battle goes for those guys. Johnny Munt knows the offense though, so I wouldn't be surprised if he stuck around. I think he's on like a vetman type deal, so it's not like it would really be a negative to keep him. Knows the offense. Wide receiver wise, to your guys' point, I think bringing in Brandon Powell to kind of compete with Jalen Reagor as like that punt return gadget guy is an interesting one, just because Rager's. So they did trade. So as a conditional 4th, that conditional 4th will be a 5th. It'll only turn into a 4th if he has like 40 or more catches or 500 or more yards, and maybe it's.
Do we want to do another bet on this one?
So it's 40 receptions, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. So he needs
all of them. He has to get all 3.
No, it's any of the 3. Any of the 3. So any of those 3. 40 receptions, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. And I would say it's probably very, very unlikely, unless somebody gets hurt, for him to hit one of those.
The 5 TDs is the one I'm worried about, actually. Just from like, we saw how Kevin O'Connell used him in the red zone last year a little bit, tried to get him on some jet sweeps.
And it does say 5 touchdowns. So it might not be 5.
I also assume it could be a returning touchdown too.
Yeah, it could be any sort of touchdown, not just a receiving. So that would be, but like the Vikings can maneuver that how they want to. They can play him, and if they don't want, like, and
he's obviously at 4 and he doesn't get a touch again.
Well, I think they'll play the best players. So I don't think they would let a condition be the reason they didn't play him. But I do think it's interesting that they brought in Powell, who's very similar, because I do wonder what that future holds for either one of those guys. Rager's deal is guaranteed, though, so that could kind of give him the leg up. I don't know what Powell's contract looks like. I'm guessing veteran minimum, but yeah, I'm excited to see those guys battle it out, because Powell is a good punt returner as well. And then I'm really excited to see if Jalen Naylor can continue through because in the spring with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. So Jefferson was out most of the spring, and then Addison got hurt very early on. So Naylor and KJ Osborne are kind of the 2 guys, and everybody was raving about Naylor, and that doesn't always mean a lot. But I think coming into your second year in the league, if you can turn some heads, it can only help. And I think he's the one guy that has a little bit more of a true versatile skill set. That's like a deep threat skill set that I don't think KJ and Addison quite have in the same way. And I think Naylor can stretch the field a little bit better. And so there could be a role for him in that because of that. And I think him being like the 4th guy could be a good thing if he can continue to develop.
Yeah, I think TJ Hawkinson still, and I've said this countless times before, but he really throws off just the whole wide receiver element to me, because he is their wide receiver too, in my opinion.
But I think what they did though is they improved that 3-4 spot.
Yeah.
So obviously KJ Osborne and Jordan Addison, both of those guys are really good. I mean, we think Jordan Addison is going to be really good, and I expect him to be. Maybe not right away, but it takes the pressure off him to having to be like a high contributor as early on in his rookie year. Because KJ, I think KJ is a really good player. I do. Yeah. I think KJ is good. I think he's proven that
contract
he could be
year too.
Contract year. And so I think he's proven that he could be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 type. Probably closer to 3, but I think he's going to get to show if he can be a wide receiver 2 this year, because he's going to get that first crack. So I think they've, like I said earlier, they've improved the floor because they've gotten better at some of those like depth positions and those guys that can really contribute if someone gets hurt, and those types of things can create real competition as well.
So we hardly touched on Addison. We just said we kind of wanted to see him. and I'm going to defer to you, Ryan. I've asked this question with every position group thus far, but what do you want to see from Jordan Addison in training camp?
Stay healthy. I mean, we know the type of player he is, at least what he was coming out of college, right? I mean, he's a player that can get open, create separation quite easily through a phenomenal route running, and quick twitch. So I want to just be able to see him actually get reps, understand the offense, learn the offense, make minimal mistakes in the route running concepts, even if he's not getting the ball. But again, obviously this isn't something we're going to be able to see from like a TV view, but we'll likely be able to get our hands on some all 22 and just kind of watch like, hey, is he generating separation? Is he able to separate? Obviously, he's been able to do it in the Pac-10, right, and in the ACC, but can he do it against NFL competition and NFL level corners? So I want to see that. I want to see him just stay healthy and obviously, I guess, stay out of trouble. I mean, it's a stupid thing to say, but like, he just had one little minor thing there, but
it's
just
not though. I mean, it's an
but
important thing.
It's a very important thing. I want to see our coaches and our like leadership be able to come step in and say, hey, you have great opportunity here. Let's, stay clean from here on out. Stay healthy from here on out. You have the sky's the limit for the kid. So I just want to see him be able to be successful.
Which week of the season do fans start comparing? Because it's going to happen. Do fans start comparing Jefferson, Addison, and Osborne to Moss, Carter, and Reed?
I mean, they did it when Addison got drafted. They did it with Thielen last year.
They shouldn't be. But.
I mean, I think folks just want that trio again, and I don't blame them. I mean, that 98 season was legit. But yeah, it'll be, if Addison shows out early, it'll happen really quickly.
All right. I'll have the meme created just so we can push it as soon as he has his first big game. We have a defensive preview coming on. We'll figure out the timing of it, but
this week,
maybe later this week. But yeah, a lot more content. Season is back. Football is back. And we're ready to kick this season off. So until next time, everybody, Skol Vikings.